Welcome to the City of Pinellas Parks City Council meeting. Our city offers superior parks, premium recreational services, exceptional public safety resources, optimal investment opportunities, and more. Our mayor and city council welcomes you to tonight's meeting.
Good evening. It is Thursday, March 23rd, 2023, 6 p.m., and we're calling to order our city council meeting. We'll have an invocation led by Councilmember Seville and a pledge of allegiance. Please rise if you wish.
Bow with me, if you please. Heavenly Father, we're just so thankful to come together tonight and to meet in union for this community. And Lord, we pray that the decisions we make will help make life easier here in Pinellas Park, not only for the residents, but for the business owners, people traveling through our community, Lord. And Lord, we get that reputation from our employees that people come in contact with, our police, our fire, our public works, our library, everyone, Lord. And Lord, I just pray that all of our employees would always be positive and always be encouraging to people that they come in contact with, to display compassion for them, to show that this community is a family and that we invite everyone into our community. And Lord, at this time, we also pray that you be with the men and women in the service, protecting our rights here so that we can meet like this, be with their families, and protect their loved ones while they're gone, Lord. And Lord, we just thank you for this opportunity, and it's in his name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, I'll hold it.
Yeah. Let me do that first. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We are doing it? We are doing it.
All right.
Oh, I have it.
Next on our agenda, as you see them going forward, City Council selected Councilwoman Patty Reed, who is now Vice Mayor Reed, to have her terms from March 24th, 2023 to March 29th of 2024. So we will have the swearing-in ceremony.
No laughing out there. Here we go.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Patty Reed,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Florida,
the Constitution of the State of Florida,
the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pinellas Park,
the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pinellas Park,
and that I will faithfully discharge my duties
and I will faithfully discharge my duties
as Vice Mayor of the City of Pinellas Park
as Vice Mayor of the City of Pinellas Park
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
in the manner provided by law.
in the manner provided by law.
Congratulations.
We've already said congratulations, but an official congratulations.
Thank you.
Now we have a few other items. We have a proclamation and a special presentation. Mr. Nick and Tammy. And Lisa. Thank you. This proclamation, whereas the week of April 10th to the April 14th of 2023 has been designated as National Community Development Week, by the National Community Development Association to celebrate the Community Development Block Grants, also known as CDBG programs. And whereas the CDBG programs provide annual funding and flexibility to local communities to provide decent and safe and sanitary housing suitable for living environment and economic opportunities to low and moderate income people. And whereas the City of Pinellas Park has received a total of $2,456,929 in CDBG grants and CDBG-CV funds. Now, therefore, I, Sandra Lee Bradbury, Mayor of the City of Pinellas Park, Florida, and on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim April 10th to April 14th of 2023 as National Community Development Week, and urge Congress and the administration to recognize the outstanding work being done locally and nationally by the Community Development Block Grant Program by supporting increasing funds in the programs for the year 2023, and doesn't say that, but and beyond. In witness, I set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Pinellas Park, Florida to be affixed on this 23rd day of March of 2023. And I would like to pass it over to our group here to just let you know about some of the wonderful things that we've spent these funds on in our community.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, Nick, Lisa. Mayor, just this year, since our fiscal year began, our community development projects have included home improvements to 11 residents, households in the city, and 4 business improvements with two more applications being reviewed in the next 2 weeks. We have also completed a large, just in this year, we recently finished a safety and mobility project down 52nd Street, and starting in the next month, we will be beginning the Harmony Heights Safety and Mobility Project. So, good things happening from community development.
I have nothing to add. I think that was great. So, Lisa, anything? So I will add one thing, and I think it's important. You know, Pinellas Park, you know, you heard a couple of projects just now, right? Just a few. The number one theme that we always hear, it's about that community. It's about those fundings reestablished in those neighborhoods that need and helping them build back up in that time and reconnecting those neighborhoods. So that funding, those tax dollars that are used from the federal government through the county, through us, go somewhere, and it's really important to our community.
And that's for infrastructure it can be used for infrastructure as well as sidewalks and improvements to the streets. As you said, houses in the community as well. So, thank you.
Thank you.
And now I will, do you want the mic here or do you want that over there, or are we just doing a video? Video. Okay. Video for you guys tonight.
My name is Tracy Schofield. I'm the founder and CEO of the nonprofit Police and Kids Foundation here, housed in Pinellas Park. So the Police and Kids Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit that was established in 2011 when I was still a City of Pinellas Park police officer. One of the first things we did was we built the 9/11 Memorial at Pinellas Park High School. Since 2016, we have represented the state of Florida with the Fallen Law Enforcement Officer Specialty Plate, and that allows us to support the families of fallen law enforcement officers across the state of Florida. In 2022, we expanded that to all first responders that are lost in the line of duty. You know, we certainly try to do the little things that maybe the bigger nonprofits don't have the time or the ability to do. but we also like to do larger legacy projects. We've assisted the City of Largo with their teen center. We're about to make a big commitment to the City of Pinellas Park for their Patty Johnson Agricultural Learning Center. And we hope that those larger legacy programs not only affect children today, but affect them for decades.
I'm Darla Otey, the Executive Director of Girls Inc. of Pinellas. So Tracy reached out to us and shared a little about what the Police and Kids Foundation does here in our community. Tracy shared that he could help us replace that roof through funds from the Police and Kids Foundation. We wrote a grant for the facade plan that Pinellas Park has. They came in and helped clear out the trees, and Tracy led us through the process of getting our entire roof redone. One of the things that he did of late was this Christmas, he brought over a bunch of bikes for the girls and families that we serve.
I'm Jennifer Strasek, and this is Alpha House of Pinellas County. Alpha House is the only transitional housing program in the state of Florida that serves homeless youth who are pregnant or parenting. Many years ago, Tracy was a recipient of our Roy Deeb Award for doing humble work in the community, and he stayed with Alpha ever since. They've been so supportive of us. It ranges from bringing a truckload of diapers that we've needed to car seats. He's delivered backpacks for the girls to come back to school, anything that we could need. Police and kids are important to the community because it is difficult to get resources. They bridge that gap of not having to apply for a grant and just providing a need that nonprofits, desire. In addition to helping nonprofits, he also helps victims of fallen officers and their families and provides services for that. So Tracy's one of a kind.
That is so true. You are one of a kind.
And he calls Pinellas Park home.
Yes. Lucky to have you here.
Who won the tetherball game?
Who won the tetherball game that day? Thank you.
Thank you.
We have, before we move on, we have 3 students from the University of South Florida here with us this evening, St. Pete campus. Iris, Alexis, and Jennifer. And they are doing the American Government Studies. So welcome, ladies. You picked a good council to go to, if I don't say so for myself. At this time, we open the dais for any citizens that would like to come up and speak on any item that is not on our agenda this evening. Seeing none, we will move on. We have quasi-judicial items this evening, so nope, yes, okay, I thought so. So anybody that is going to speak on a quasi-judicial item, if you will please rise and be sworn in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Section 2, approval of minutes. Councilmember Butler?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion we approve the regular council minutes of March 9th, 2023 is on file in the city clerk's office.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's been made and second. Any discussion by city council on the minutes? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Moving on to Section 3, public hearings, item P1.
Item P1 is ordinance number 4185, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, annexing into the city a certain parcel of land generally located at 5300 Almerton Road, together with the adjacent right-of-way of Almerton Road, and legally described and depicted in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and made a part hereof, providing for amendment of the legal description of the corporate boundaries of the city, providing for the assignment of city zoning classification, providing for repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances conflicting herewith to the extent of such conflict, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Item P1, ordinance number 4185, public hearing, second and final reading. I am opening the public hearing and turning it over to Erica.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Erica Lindquist, Planning and Development Services Director, and this presentation is going to cover items P1 and P2. It is annexation number AX 2023-00002 and LUPA 1123-00003. The request for P1 is annexation of a parcel located at 5300 Ulmerton Road, together with adjacent right-of-way. P2 is a future land use map amendment designating a parcel as Industrial Limited, IL, upon the annexation of 5300 Ulmerton Road. And the annexation agreement for this property was previously approved at the March 9th City Council meeting. The property is, as I said, located at 5300 Ulmerton Road. The land use is currently designated employment, or E, in the county's jurisdiction, but the request is to designate it Industrial Limited, IL, upon annexation into the city. The zoning is currently Employment 1 and Employment 2 in the county's jurisdiction. Upon annexation into the city, it will be designated Light Industrial, or M1. The parcel is located entirely in Flood Zone X, which is a low-risk flood zone. And here is a site photo. The current tenant renting this property is One Stop Home Design Studio. For your information, they do have outdoor display of granite, which is allowed under their lease. It is limited to a defined area, which is consistent with the city's outdoor display requirements. And the outdoor display would be approved as part of their annexation, but that area cannot be expanded once it's approved without city council approval. So findings for this case: the property has no outstanding code enforcement violations with Pinellas County. It is contiguous to the city and it meets all the annexation requirements from Florida statute. The IL future land use designation has been determined the most appropriate for this property, and the request is consistent with the Land Development Code and the adopted comprehensive plan. Staff recommends approval of both of these cases. The Planning and Zoning Commission on February 2nd recommended approval of case number LUPA 1123-00003 with the condition that the annexation be approved by City Council. Thank you, and I am here for any questions.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions of Erica? Is there anybody in the audience that would like to come up and speak on this item? Applicant. Anybody have any questions on this item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion by Councilmember Mullins.
One question for the lawyer.
Yes, sir.
Do I go ahead and make a motion for both ordinances at this time, or do one and then the other? Okay. I make a motion we pass ordinance number 4185, public hearing, second final reading.
Second.
Motion's been made in second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Item P2, ordinance number 4186.
Ordinance number 4186, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, amending the city's official land use plan map by providing the land use designation of Industrial Limited, IL, for certain lands generally located at 5300 Almerton Road, and more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and made a part hereof, certifying consistency with the city's adopted comprehensive plan, providing for repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith to the extent of such conflict, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Item P2, ordinance number 4186, public hearing, second and final reading. I am opening up the public hearing and turning it back over to Erica.
Thank you again, Mayor. I'm Erica Lindquist, Planning and Development Services Director. Item P2 is case number LUPA 1123-00003. I want to incorporate my previous presentation into the record, and I have nothing to add, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions of Erica by City Council? Seeing none, I will ask if there's anybody in the audience that has any questions. Councilmember Mullins, do you have a question, or are you waiting to?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Anybody in the audience that has any questions? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion by Councilmember Mullins.
Yes, Mayor, I make a motion, we pass ordinance number 4186, public hearing, second and final reading.
Second.
Motion has been made in second. All those in favor? Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Item P3, ordinance number 4187.
Ordinance number 4187, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, adopting a new master plan and supporting documentation to amend a residential planned unit development, RPUD, overlay with underlying multifamily residential R6 zoning on 2.76 acres of land located at 4210 78th Avenue North, 7745 42nd Lane North, 7739 42nd Lane North, 7733 42nd Lane North, 7727 42nd Lane North, 7721 42nd Lane North, 7715 42nd Lane North, 7709 42nd Lane North, 7691 42nd Lane North, 7685 42nd Lane North, 7679 42nd Lane North, 7673 42nd Lane North, 7667 42nd Lane North, 7661 42nd Lane North, 7655 42nd Lane North, 7643 42nd Lane North, 7637 42nd Lane North, 7631 42nd Lane North, 7625 42nd Lane North, 7619 42nd Lane North, 7613 42nd Lane North, 7607 42nd Lane North, and 7775 42nd Lane North, and more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and made a part hereof, certifying consistency with the city's adopted comprehensive plan, providing for repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith to the extent of such conflict, providing for an effective date.
I want the council to know I volunteered to read that.
But it wasn't a hearty volunteer.
Thank you very much. Item P3, ordinance number 4187's public hearing, second and final reading. This is quasi-judicial. I am opening the public hearing and turning it over to Erica.
Thank you. I'm Erica Lindquist, Planning and Development Services Director. This is case number PUD 1223-00004. And the request is for a residential plan unit development, an RPUD, for 60 multifamily units in the multifamily residential or R6 zoning district with a reduction to the minimum lot area. The property is located at 4210 78th Avenue and 7775 42nd Lane. The land use is Community Redevelopment District, CRD, and the zoning is multifamily residential, R6, with currently an RPUD overlay. The majority of the property is in flood zone AE15, which is a high-risk flood zone. So some background on this property. In April 2018, an RPUD and conditional use were approved for the development of 21 single-family attached dwelling units. In November 2018, an amendment to that RPUD was approved to reduce the rear setback. In 2019, a new RPUD and conditional use were approved for the development of 41 single-family attached units, but that PUD expired due to lack of development. So here is the current proposed site plan. And the applicant is requesting to establish a new RPUD for 60 multifamily dwellings on this 2.76 acre property. The apartments will be workforce housing units, and they would be affordable to households with incomes between 80 and 120% of the area median income. The maximum density allowed, and that is with the 2.5 times density bonus in the CRA, would be 31.25 units per acre or 86 units. The applicant is proposing 60 units. So the lot area, the minimum lot area in the zoning district is 3,484.8 square feet per unit for a 3-story building. The proposed lot area is 2,002 square feet per unit. The property will be required to be platted, and 7 foot of right-of-way along 78th Avenue, 10 foot of right-of-way along a portion of 76th Avenue would be dedicated. So findings, the development of 60 multifamily units would meet the density requirements, and we find the request to be consistent with the comprehensive plan and the land development code. Staff recommends approval of case number PUD 1223-00004. On February 2nd, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended denial of this case. Thank you. I am here for any questions, and also the applicant is here.
Does anybody have any questions of Erica on this case? Councilmember Sabel.
Yes, Erica, regarding the workforce housing, is that forever? And whoever checks to see what they are charging for the apartments?
You could, I believe, incorporate that the workforce housing would be affordable forever or for a certain amount of time. I'm not sure what the applicant is proposing as far as that goes. They would be checked annually to make sure that the units are affordable. And just to give you an idea of what the affordable units would cost, for example, they'd be affordable at the maximum would be 30% of household income. One person at 80% of area median income, rent would be no more than $1,150. One person at 120% of area income, the rent would be no more than $1,725.
So another question, could we make that stick to the property? That way if it's sold in 5 years, it couldn't be changed?
You could. It would be an approval for the PUD would be an approval that went with the property.
Mm-hmm. Councilmember Mullins.
Yes, did the Planning and Zoning Commission give any reason why they deny it?
You know, honestly, they did not. That there was a split vote, and it ended up with a denial, and they really did not discuss a reason.
Okay, thank you.
With the housing in Pinellas County the way it is right now, the county issues vouchers to help citizens rent whether it's an apartment, a home, what have you. So would this property qualify for those vouchers as well?
That I'm not sure, but the applicant might have an idea.
Okay. And was there any discussion on this where we had the townhomes where they would have a walkway going over to the neighborhood park like they had for the previous? Because I don't see it on the drawing.
I do not believe it's on the current site plan, but you could certainly ask the applicant if they're willing to provide that.
Any other questions of staff? Seeing none, at this time, the public hearing has been opened, so I would invite the applicant to come forward. Name and address for the record and whether you were sworn in or not.
Evening, Matt Silverrain, Gulf Coast Consulting, 13825 ICOP Boulevard, Suite 605. I'm a professional engineer there. I'm happy to be back again tonight and present this project to you all.
And you were sworn in. I saw you stand up.
I was sworn in.
Thank
yes.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Lindquist, for your presentation. As she mentioned, this PUD is to remove and rescind a previous PUD that was approved for 41 townhome units and replace it with a PUD for 60 apartment units. Directly to the north of us, there are single-family homes with RU land use and R1 zoning. To the east, there is Somerset Apartments, two-story apartment units with the CRD land use and B1 zoning. I'm sorry, R6 zoning. To the west, there's the Park 29 Apartments. Those are two-story apartment buildings as well. They have CRD land use and R6 zoning. And immediately to the south are apartments and storage units on land having CRD land use and B1 zoning, and Pond Park with CRD land use and R5 zoning. We are largely consistent with R6 zoning. We meet the lot width. The minimum lot width for R6 zoning lot is 100 feet. We have 200 feet. For the overall density, as Ms. Lindquist mentioned, we would be allowed 31.25 units per acre, which would come out to 86 units, and we are proposing 60 units, which is 21.74 units per acre. So we are well under the density. We meet the building setbacks as well. For a three-story building, the minimum required front setback is 33 feet. We are proposing 41 feet along 78th Avenue and 46 feet along 76th Avenue. The minimum side setbacks are 20 feet, where we are proposing 96 feet on the east side and 59 feet on the west side. And we are doing so to help mitigate the height differences between our three-story building and the two-story buildings on the east and the west of us. These setbacks will be ample to have drainage retention, floodplain compensation, and landscaping. We also meet the, as far as our PUD, the R6 maximum building height is 40 feet. As far as our PUD, we are proposing that the maximum building height be 39 feet. The open space requirement for R6 zoning is 75% maximum lot coverage. This current plan has approximately 50% open space, so we are well under the threshold. The only deviation from the R6 zoning we are asking for as part of this RPUD is having 2,002 square feet per unit versus the required 3,485 feet per unit. So in conclusion, we feel that our project is compatible with the area, and we are largely meeting the R6 zoning requirement. As you all know, this will be workforce housing. The Urban Land Institute defines workforce housing for households earning between 80 and 120% of AMI, area median income. The workforce housing targets middle income workers, which include professions such as police officers, firefighters that are employed here in the city, retail clerks, teachers, nurses, And I want to put a personal touch on this as well, being that I work in Pinellas County. A few years ago, 7 years ago, my wife and I and my son were looking to purchase a townhome. So we lived for several years in a one-bedroom apartment, and we made that sacrifice, and that helped us save up to buy a townhouse. And we since then sold the townhouse, used the equity to buy a house. So this sort of housing is critical for a community, and it helps people advance, and it helps people put in position to own homes. And it's terrific what I think the developer is trying to do here. So I would ask the council that if they have any reservations, any questions, concerns, to address them to me or the developer who is here to speak as well.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Councilmember Mullins?
My question's for you and for staff. It seems to me like I remember when we passed this for the townhomes, and one of the reasons that we pushed it and let the density go a little deeper than we wanted to was because they were going to be owned, and the people were not going to be renters. They were going to be homeowners, and the people around the neighborhood didn't want it to be rented. They wanted people who had an investment in the neighborhood. So my question to staff and you is, we probably wouldn't have passed the density on this if it had been apartments at the time. So I know you're going a little less density than we had but I think there was still over density of what the property was before we passed that density. And we passed that density because we wanted it to be homeowner associated. I may be wrong, but I believe that's the way it was. It's been a while ago.
I am not familiar with the specifics of the previous plan. However, I know that the density allowed is 31.25 units per acre. What you're referencing is the only thing we're deviating from is lot size area. Our total area is 2.76 acres, and we're going vertical with 3 stories. So that's why we feel that this particular application of the code should be deviated in this instance.
I applaud the fact that you're not going as densely as you could go, but I still, if I remember that meeting right, the neighborhood did not want rentals in there. They wanted home-owned land. And I will listen to the rest of the people, but I remember something like that going on. And I think that's the reason we raised the density as high as we did. And I could be a little off. This has been many years ago.
Well, I'll let maybe Ms. Lindquist speak to the CRA density bonus of 2.5.
Okay.
That bumped it up to 31.25, but because I'm not aware of the specifics of the previous plan.
I just barely remember the case myself. It's been quite a few years ago, but thank you.
Yes.
Councilmember Sibyl, do you have a question? No. Okay. Erica?
Councilmember Mullins, you're correct that the previous PUD was going to be for townhomes. It would have been for 41. But the density that this development would have, it is already allowed because of this property's in the CRA. This density of it would be 86 units maximum on the site is already allowed, so that they're asking for less than that. They're not asking to raise it at this time.
Right. Okay, thank you.
If I recall correctly, and Erica can answer this, we did have the single-family home neighborhood that did come out 4 years ago and request that the townhomes would be owned and not rented. And if I am also not mistaken, the reason why it went from 21 to 41 is because they bought the property next to them to make the density bigger. Because if you look on there, there's 2 separate properties. I think they did a unity of title and brought the and then brought it back to us with 2 properties instead of just 1 from the original design.
Yes, they did. I believe they started with one of those properties and then combined them.
Yes. Thank you.
Is he talking about both parties or both lands or just like they were, or is he trying to do it on just one land?
We're doing both.
It would be both
Okay.
properties.
I think it's been joined. It's a
Okay.
combined piece of property now.
Thank you.
Councilmember Butler?
Yeah, what assurances are we going to have that this will be workforce housing?
I'll let Mike.
I'd like to hear of something that's either recorded or in the covenants of the land or something.
My name's Angelo Capelli. I represent HP Capital, one of the three partners at HP Capital, looking for the approval today for the development. My address 5976 Tanglewood Drive Northeast, St. Petersburg, Florida, born and raised here in Pinellas County.
Were you sworn in?
I was.
Okay, thank you.
Standing behind the big guy.
Okay.
The short answer to your question is there are a lot of things that will guarantee whatever affordable workforce restrictions are placed on the property. I'm not here to give a lecture on how financing works for affordable housing development, but it's very complicated. HP Capital was approved. We perceive ourselves as cutting edge. We had a project approved on an old lumber site in St. Petersburg, and it requires 5 different levels of financing, ranging from tax-free bonds to penny for Pinellas money to land trust, HUD 221D4 mortgage. Every one of those finance providers has exactly what you're asking for, Councilman, which is a guarantee that the units are set aside exactly what we set them aside for.
But at any time that you choose, you could walk away from that situation.
You would be violating a number of bond covenants, lending covenants, financing covenants. In the case of that project, it actually, in order to take money from Penny for Pinellas, they do the same thing. You are assuring or wanting assurance that they're going to have their hooks in, whether it's via land trust or financing. So the real issue is not so much with the land. I mean, you all have a city to run and you have to make decisions based on everything you're told. The most difficult thing today is the construction costs. Construction costs have gone through the roof. And so the only thing I would ask, if you do see in your wisdom to approve this, that you understand that you leave it as broad as possible to the extent that you satisfy your community goals, such as it's approved and we just want to make sure the units are for affordable housing units. The more constraints you put on the project, the more difficult it becomes the financing. So as long as it meets that requirement, that would be what I would encourage you to consider.
And you just said affordable housing units instead of workforce housing units.
And that's fine.
where we've had problems before with the county.
Understood. And if it has to be workforce and you want to leave it between 80 and 120, that's fine as well. I just sometimes we get involved, Mayor, that where they start at meetings like this, where they start actually trying to cut the pie, 30 units this way, 50 units. So the more constraints you do on that, it ends up making it very difficult to finance it. So if this esteemed council wants to limit it to just 80 to 120, that's okay. That works. We can make that happen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question on the height. I know that it is allowed to go up to 40 feet. But the neighborhood, you've got single-family homes on the north side of 78th Avenue.
Right, across the 4th Street Road.
And then on either side, you have 2-story apartments.
Correct.
And now you're bringing in a precedence, setting a precedence of a 3-story apartment. So I have a little bit of a question about that. And because either one of the neighbors on either side could decide that they want to tear down theirs and go to 4 stories because you're at 3 stories now. And so I really, even though it's allowed, I feel that that's setting a precedence by bringing a 3-story property into some place that's 1 story and 2 story.
Gotcha. So, like I mentioned in my presentation, we really were careful about putting it right in the middle of the site so that we could mitigate the height on both sides. So there will be drainage ponds in between, and there'll be a parking lot, and there will be compensation ponds as well, which are just like drainage ponds.
Mhm.
And there'll be landscaping and fencing that'll help mitigate the height. So I think if we were 20 feet away and with a two-story building, we would have this just about the same effect because we're about 46 feet away and then 90 feet on the other side with ample landscaping and open space in between those two buildings.
Can I add to that, Madam Mayor? There's also an element to the construction costs that I alluded to, and the devil's in the details. As soon as you go from 3 stories to 4 stories, as far as your future fear, then you start adding elevators, concrete, all the things that make a project much more expensive. And
So you're not going to have elevators on the 3-story?
we may or may not. That may be a financing issue. Obviously, I'm not familiar with the safety code in Pinellas Park. We'll get familiar with it. But as soon as you go to 4 stories, you're adding concrete, and that makes a project much more expensive. So I just, as an aside, the higher you go, and you still require affordable housing, so presumably your fear would be other projects might want to go higher, but they have the affordable housing requirement, workforce requirement. It then restricts you, cost-wise, so you can't just keep going higher if you're doing workforce development.
Well, with you being 3 stories and the American Disabilities Act, I'm afraid you're probably going to have an elevator anyhow.
And that's fine.
And so I don't know that that's necessarily part of the issue, with it being 2 stories versus 3 stories versus what have you. So, Vice Mayor Reed.
So if we put in there, you can put in it that it can be, I think now the word, I think it's now attainable housing is what the proper word is. So if we were to put in there and put the parameters that you had talked about before, then it locks it in, correct? And that's something, it goes with the land, right?
Yes, and you could, the proposal that we had was for affordable to incomes between 80% and 120% of area median. You could specify that as well.
Because if you put those specifics in it, no matter whatever the word changes to be the proper word in the future, it still locks it into
It'll
those
still have the
percentages.
percentages.
Instead of it, we're playing with affordable, attainable, and workforce, we're locking in those percentages in there. So then that way, it doesn't get played with later. The numbers are there.
To change, they'd have to come in for a new
Right.
PUD.
But it just locks it in a little bit, and you'd have to do whatever. So, okay. Just making
That's
sure.
fine.
Yeah, and I know a lot of the places out in Gateway and that are 3 stories and they have no elevators. They just do the handicapped houses and so forth, or the disadvantaged down below. They offer those in that area, so I know that because I trucked up and down those 3-story stairs. So I did. And then there's going to be a fence.
There will be a fence. Yeah.
Because I know there's apartments on both sides and they don't have fences. Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Mullins?
I just have one little question for you. I know that there's a lot of 2-story apartments around it, and I haven't really got a problem with that, but is there any single-family homes that border your borders?
No, it's across the street.
It's all,
Yeah,
okay,
on the other side of the right of way.
okay, and you got plenty of buffer with your parking lot and your landscape? I just don't want somebody looking right down in somebody else's backyard.
That won't happen.
Okay.
Right now, there's the rental apartments on both sides.
Both sides, that's what and I'm okay with that.
Has anybody discussed with you from staff or anything about the neighborhood park that's across the street and putting in something on the street to kind of have a little caution area for people that, from the apartments that may want to traverse back and forth? Because that's something we had in place with the PUD from 2019.
I'm sure, speak for my client, we'd be happy to put that as a requirement. We provide a crosswalk or enhanced crossing or a pedestrian light, whatever the city sees fit.
Because there is a nice little park
It's a
right
beautiful
there.
park. Pond Park is nice.
Any additional questions for the applicant? Seeing none. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to ask any questions about this project, either for or against, or just ask questions in general about the neighborhood? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion by Councilmember Mullins.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion we pass ordinance number 4187, public hearing, second and final reading.
Second.
With conditions of any sort?
Well, I think he outlined the conditions as part of the financing, and I think that was probably enough, because those conditions on the financing will require them to make it workforce housing for as long as they're financing, probably 30 years. I think that's what I understood.
But it could go away once they've paid it off. Just to let you know.
Well, what would you suggest?
That it runs with the property is what Councilmember Sibylla is speaking of down on the other end.
Okay, with the fact that the workforce housing goes with the financing.
I think Lauren's got us.
Goes with the property.
Hang
runs
on just
with
one
the
second.
land.
Let me listen to my lawyer.
I think what I'm hearing is that you want to add the condition that the apartments will be affordable to households with incomes between the 80% and 120% of area median income.
I'll add that to my motion.
Is that the?
Yeah.
To run with the approval?
I'll add that to my motion.
The second concur.
Yeah.
Be approved by the city attorney.
With the restrictions to be approved by the city attorneys.
Questions?
Councilwoman, Vice Mayor Reed?
Yes, and that is with those percentages to go to the property so that if it was sold in 5 years, it could not revert back to any other thing.
I said to have it go with the property.
Those would be conditions on the PUD.
Okay, good.
It's off, so. Okay. Your light's still on. Down below. Looky right here. Note to staff that the light up at the top needs to be replaced. There's no light in there.
That went with Rick's help. You build it set.
Oh, looky there.
That ended up being a taillight on a Cushman.
There we go.
66
Oh.
Davidson.
All righty.
Remember the little flashlights?
Okay, now we're working. I do have a lot of concerns about this, especially since you're going to the county and that you're going to be getting possible grants federally, county, so on and so forth. The last time that we allowed an apartment complex to go to the maximum of their density, which you're not at yet, but the county says, well, if we're going to give you this money, then you need to allow X, Y, and Z, which wasn't anything that we agreed to on the PUD. So I am very leery about that, especially with the word salad of affordable housing, workforce housing being used tonight. So I'm not amend to allowing it, but I'm going to be voting against it because there are no guarantees. I'm sorry. We've seen that firsthand. We've been burned. And I was very excited about the townhomes going into that area because it is an area to revitalize. And those smaller townhomes would give people with workforce salaries to have the opportunity to buy their first home. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Motion carries 4-1 with Mayor Bradbury voting nay.
Thank you. Moving on to item P4.
Item P4 is consideration of a request for conditional use approval for heavy truck repair major in the heavy industrial IH zoning district with waivers to conditional use criteria regarding all repair activity to be done in an enclosed building and enclosure of all outside work areas with a 6-foot high solid wall or fence.
Thank you. Item P4 is public hearing, first and final reading. It is also quasi-judicial. I am opening the public hearing and turning it over to Erica.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Erica Lindquist, Planning and Development Services Director. I also have Rebecca Stevenson here with me tonight. We are talking about case number CU 1223-00003. And the request is a conditional use approval for heavy truck repair major in the heavy industrial IH zoning district with waivers to the following conditional use criteria. All repair activity be done in an enclosed building, and enclosure of all outside work areas with a 6-foot-high solid wall or fence. The property is located at 4545 118th Avenue North. It has a land use of industrial general, IG. The zoning is heavy industrial, IH. The majority of the property is in flood zone X, which is low risk. And here is the site plan. Shows where the outdoor storage would be located, where the outdoor work area would be located. And just to point out, the required number of parking spaces would be 8, and they currently do have 9. Here are some photos of the site. Now this use is already existing. They are operating currently, but they did come in to request their conditional use approval. The applicant, again, is requesting conditional use approval for heavy truck repair major. The use is consistent with the IG land use designation. As I said, this use is already in operation. The site would remain as is. No additional development is proposed at this time. The proposed use would require 8 parking spaces, and they do have 9, so that has been met. This is up for City Council approval due to the fact that the waivers were requested. The minimum separation of 300 feet from any residential district measured from property line to property line has been met. And the minimum lot size of 15,000 square feet has been met. All repair activity to be done in an enclosed building is what they're requesting a waiver for, and also that all outside work areas are enclosed with a solid wall or fence. They do, as you saw in the photos, have an existing fence, but it is chain link. It is a 6-foot-high chain link fence. So findings, the proposed use meets the intent of the zoning district. Per the Land Development Code, it meets a majority of the conditional use requirements, and it does meet parking requirements. Staff recommends approval of case number CU 1223-00003. Thank you, and we are here for any questions.
Any questions of Erica by City Council? Councilmember Mullins.
Yes, so apparently they've been working there and doing good. I just wonder if there's been any complaints about them now, or did they just come in to request this because they want to make everything proper in the way it's supposed to be?
The applicant did just come in and request it. It did not come from code enforcement. So
Okay.
there haven't been any complaints to them.
Okay, thank you.
Are they up to code on their landscaping?
You know, that is a great question, and I'm not sure of the answer. But I believe that you could make that a condition of approval.
And it doesn't have to necessarily be all upfront. I'm sure that the people that are working outside might want to get underneath the shade tree from time to time to cool off. It does have some.
They do have trees.
I would feel that the fire department as well as the police department would be happy with the chain link fence for safety purposes, as well as for visibility triangle of the trucks pulling in and out, and the traffic on 118th Avenue, which is quite busy. But it is the gateway entrance to our community when you get off of 275, so I would like them to spend some form of money to kind of spruce it up a little bit. And as far as the construction, the work outside, I totally get that. So it's, they're in an industrial area. They should be able to work on the vehicles inside and outside both. But we have had construction, heavy equipment type of things going on in that area that have gone well above a 6-foot fence and really crazy painted fences and walls and things. So it would be nice to say, hey, welcome to Pinellas Park, and it be something very nice to see. So that's my only request. And there is another council member that would have been backing me up if she was still here, so.
God.
It'll die and they never replace it.
Only if they don't take care of it. Councilmember Butler.
We're so happy that these folks came in on their own to bring something in like this that is working okay. And if we start our beautification on the north
They could apply for a grant.
I'm not sure that they would qualify for a grant out there because you can't put
Where's
concrete.
Tammy?
Tammy, you got any money for that? No, she's not here.
She's not here right now, but
Yeah.
They did this on their own. Why don't we just let them do that on their
just
own
let
if they
them
want
do
to?
what
We're
they
not
want.
making it part of their
Yeah.
thing. We just, they come in, they want to be right.
That-
Let's
that-
just pass it for them.
That place has got a case of double ugly, and there ain't no fixing that out there. I mean, it's just double ugly. Yeah, you know what I mean by double
We're gonna be
ugly?
looking at the 118th,
Yeah, you got
all that
you got
they're building there.
3-story overpasses and underpasses, and people getting killed out to the left and right, and we're worried about a damn
You girls
tree.
will never go to another city council meeting like this.
Just remember what I said about double ugly.
Neither will Carol out there either.
Carol's out there, yeah. Double ugly is double ugly, trust me. So, anyway, if you're ready to close it, I'm ready to make a motion.
I don't know if the applicant is here.
Yeah, I think that's.
The applicant's here? I wouldn't admit it either. No, you're all good.
It was just my suggestion.
It's a beautiful.
I am very happy that they're,
The bluebirds are flying everywhere that, I mean, it's beautiful. But out there ain't no bluebirds, trust me.
Go ahead, Rick.
there used to be hogs.
You want to make a motion?
Well,
I
I
think you
have
gotta
to
ask
see
about
if there
some-
is anybody in the audience
I'm
that would
sorry.
like to speak on this item. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion by Councilmember Butler.
It doesn't have to be necessarily me.
I can make the motion if you want me to.
I think I got it.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah, I got motion to approve CU-1223-00003, public hearing first and final.
Reading. Motion's been made in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Let's call that the double ugly.
that employs people. That's a good thing.
It does employ people, yeah.
Moving on to section 4, consent agenda.
Item number C1 is authorization for the City of Pinellas Park to accept a drainage easement from ASCO Inc. at 11880 34th Street North. Item number C2 is authorization for the city manager to sign a 6-month park resident employee lease agreement for city-owned property located at Youth Park, 4166 Avenue North. Item C3 is ordinance number 4188, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, annexing into the city a certain parcel of land generally located at 10288 U.S. Highway 19 North, together with the adjacent right-of-way of U.S. Highway 19 North, in that portion of 102nd Avenue North, and legally described and depicted in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and made a part hereof, providing for the amendment of the legal description of the corporate boundaries of the city, providing for the assignment of city zoning classification, providing for repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances conflicting herewith to the extent of such conflict, providing for an effective date. Item number C4 is ordinance number 4189, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pinellas Park, Pinellas County, Florida, amending the city's official land use plan map by providing the land use designation of Industrial Limited, IL, for certain lands generally located at 10288 U.S. Highway 19 North, and more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and made a part hereof, certifying consistency with the city's adopted comprehensive plan, providing for repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith to the extent of such conflict, providing for an effective date. Item number C5 is authorization for the mayor to sign a perpetual maintenance agreement with Misery Guild, Inc., doing business as Calvary Catholic Cemetery at 58th Street North. Item number C6 is to approve authorization to enter into master agreements with various firms to provide continuing contract grant management services in amounts to be negotiated on a per-project task order basis, not to exceed $500,000 per project. Item number C7 is to approve authorization to purchase under Lake County Contract 22-730G 5 Airpack X3 Pro SCBA from Municipal Emergency Services, Inc., Pinellas Park, Florida, at a cost of $40,097.35. Item number C8 is authorization to purchase satellite system upgrade for the replacement of legacy satellite dish and communications hardware from Skybase Communications for $39,488. Item number C9 is to approve the appointment of Geraldine Morales to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board as a team member with a 1-year term. Item number C10 is to approve authorization to purchase under the City of Clearwater contract sidewalk services provided by Central Florida Contractors, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $490,000. Item number C11 is authorization for the mayor to approve and sign an assignment and assumption agreement with Novation between SCPI Engineering and Construction, Inc., City of Pinellas Park, and Trans-Systems Corporation, DBA Trans-Systems Corporation Consultants for RFP 18/012. Item number C12 is authorization for the mayor to sign a task force order number 03/2023 for the continuing contract engineering and architectural consultant services for RFP 18/012, 92nd Avenue North Sanitary Sewer Force Main Land Surveying and Civil Site Engineering Permitting Services, task order 03.2023, and that total project is in an amount not to exceed $48,300. Item number C13 is authorization for the mayor to sign a reciprocal easement, maintenance agreement, and restrictive covenants with the Pinellas Park Community Redevelopment Agency, City of Pinellas Park, Roger B. Broderick, Vincent Pompey, and Melissa Schultz for the 5600 Block Arts Village. That's the end of the consent agenda.
Okay, I am going to open it up to the people in the audience that might like to come forward with item C. the consent agenda items and request that we pull item C4 to regular agenda. So. Is
C4 is the land use map amendment, is that the one you want, or do you want the others?
Both,
Items C3 and C4?
C3 and C4, yes. So, is there anybody in the audience that has any questions on the consent agenda items? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing, and the reason why I'm saying that is because the civil engineering firm that I worked for did work on part of this, and just to be on the safe side, I'd rather fill out a form for this item and not vote on it, but allow myself to vote on the rest of the consent agenda items.
You'll fill out the form and it'll be on file at the clerk's office.
That is correct. So. I don't know. I don't want to take a chance, though. Thank you. Yeah. I'd rather not take the chance, so. All right.
Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mayor Bradbury, regarding the consent agenda, I would like to make a motion to pass, approve, or adopt whichever action is appropriate, items C1 through C13, inclusive, with items C3 and C4 being moved to regular agenda. I probably should say next time. The next public hearing will be held in council chambers on Thursday, April 13, 2023 at 6 p.m.
Second motion.
Thank you. Motion's been made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
And we've already read them, so are we just allowed to have council make motions to approve them or deny them, or whatever council wants to do with those items?
They
Or do they need to be read again?
required that they be read in full, but title, they have been read, so if you just want to proceed to hear number C3 as item T1, feel free to do so.
Okay. Councilmember Butler, thank you.
Make a motion to approve item C3 on first reading prior to public hearing.
Ordinance number 4188.
What's, oh,
Ordinance number 41.
ordinance number 4188.
Thank you. And we have a motion and second. I'm abstaining. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously with Mayor Bradbury abstaining.
Then on item formerly known as C4, ordinance number 4189, I make a motion to approve first reading prior to public hearing to that ordinance.
Thank you. Motion's been made in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain?
Motion carries unanimously with Mayor Bradbury abstaining.
Thank you. I kept looking at those addresses thinking that they were familiar, and I just couldn't figure out why. So, moving on to the rest of the regular agendas, we have none. So, the next item is item 6 for council member and staff comments. Councilmember Seville.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to thank all the volunteers that we have that sit on our boards to help regulate us and help get involved in our community to make our community a better place and to give us more input on what needs to be done in our community. That's all.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Reed.
Thanks for everybody that was here for me to be sworn in. But Country in the Park was amazing, and thanks to everybody that helped put that on and everybody who came out and everybody that had a part of it. I think it was super cool being able to see out there. The VIP tent was moved, and it was really neat seeing that everybody got to just sit out there in the open. I think that was really cool. And they even added another bleacher. There was that many people at the rodeo, so that was pretty neat. Yeah, and everybody wasn't crowded in on top because it's a big draw. So, but watching the staff and everybody that was working so hard, I mean, we are truly a blessed city with the staff that we have. It just went beautifully. So thanks to everybody who did that. And then the ag farm is open on the weekends, and it's beautiful weather. And I talked to a lot of people who went out there, and they said it was amazing. So thanks for everybody that does that. I think that's it. That's all I got. Thanks.
Councilmember Butler.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed the bull riding competition this year. I think I'll be ready for next year, but I did participate in Chili Blaze and got my butt kicked in that. But anyway, there was some very creative chilies this year. I really appreciate the fact that someone scrambled my guts, and I can't wait till next year. And for all the people that were involved in it, we thank you and to make it a success. And then our sisters from USF, we would like to know. My nephew is actually going to University of South Florida, and he loves the school, and I love the school too. So congratulations. Hopefully you learned something. Maybe you didn't. Yeah, who knows? But thank you.
I'm not sure, but I think that you won the vote on the bull talking competition.
I did. Bull. I was tossing the bull.
I just want to give one more heads up to Mr. Schofield, who's done so much for the city, and let everybody know that the city's full of people just like that that do a lot of volunteer work that never get recognition for it, and we should be thankful that we got so many of them. That's all.
Yeah.
Oh, and one more thing.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations, Patty.
Yeah, for you're the vice. Yeah.
Are we going to spell hers with a V-I-S-E on it instead of a V-I-C-E?
Got to.
Ms. Lana, I know we always have things going on in the community.
Yeah, we have a lot coming up too. So one thing I'd like to let you guys know tomorrow is the last day to get a free permit for minor household repairs. So if you're out there and you haven't got one, please come on down to community development and get one. Tomorrow is the last day for that. And this Saturday coming up, we have in the daytime, the Pinellas Park Rotary Club has their annual bowl-a-thon going on at Seminole Lane. That's from 11 to 4. So if you like bowling and you want to support a good group of folks and a good organization, head out there. And then when you're done, you can head right back over here to the Pinellas Park Arts Village. They have their 4th Saturday block party beginning at 4. So there'll be lots going on. So support your local artists. And on March 31st at the Public Works Operations Center, it's a City Employee Appreciation Luncheon, so that'll begin at noon. And then following that, the next Saturday, April 1st, we have a big weekend on that weekend because on Saturday, April 1st, in the daytime between 9 and 3, Suncoast Model Train shows going on in the PAC. And
no fooling?
Huh?
No fooling?
No. And then running concurrent is the Pepper Fest. That's going on as well. That goes on Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 5. And then lastly, coming up on Tuesday, April 4th, with the community police unit, we'll be out at the Mainlands doing a neighborhood barbecue from 4 to 6. That'll be Unit 2. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Angela?
Just a reminder for those who still haven't done their taxes, the AARP is still at the library providing their free service as they do every year. So still opportunities there. And of course, bingo is happening now every Thursday evening, and every Friday afternoon is bingo at the Senior Center. And yes, the farm is open. It's open every Saturday, 10 to 2 for guests. So please feel free to stop in. We're starting to see a natural pickup. For a while we were hearing, oh, we didn't know. But we are seeing more regular traffic on a daily basis. So that's nice to see. More classes have been visiting. So yay, come on by.
Keith?
I just wanted to say I was just so grateful about Country in the Park. I thought we were going to get washed out, and I mean we barely got a couple drops, and we had a great attendance, and I mean the gun show was great, the can show, connected with the rodeo, that was fantastic. So I was happy about that, and I guess that's about it.
Chiefs? Chief? No? Yes, we had a wonderful chili blaze with the firefighters raising money for Muscular Dystrophy Association. Our annual Country in the Park was wonderful. The crowds were really nice, and we had shouted out to a lot of people to say prayers because Saturday was supposed to be a washout. There was an 80% chance of rain, and it held off until in the middle of the night. It rained in the community here a little bit, and then it went away. We got a few more glimpses of some cooler weather for a couple of days, and now we're headed into summer. We don't have spring here. It goes straight from winter to summer here. And by all means, a big thank you to the nonprofits and the business community that came out both days and supported the efforts for the community, as well as the city employees that volunteer to work on a Friday night, to work all day Saturday, to come out here and make sure that not only their families, but the citizens and the community have a wonderful kickoff to the summer and the spring and everything with Country in the Park and the Chili Blaze. So with that, we'll say that we hope that everybody has a blessed couple of weeks until we see you again. The meeting is adjourned.